I was fired without reason by my boss, and it shattered everything I'd worked for. With my life in ruins, I discovered his hidden secrets and realized I had a chance for revenge. What started as a desire for justice quickly turned into an obsession. I manipulated, deceived, and executed my plan to bring him down. In the end, I succeeded, but as his empire crumbled, I realized I had lost myself in the process. I was a man of routine. I arrived at the office at precisely 8:30 a.m., every day without fail. My desk was always neat, my reports flawless, my dedication unquestioned. And yet none of it mattered. When the email arrived, cold, impersonal, and final, I felt the ground shift beneath me. Effective immediately, my position was terminated. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake, a clerical error. I refreshed the email, checked my employee portal, even called IT, but the message remained. My access was revoked. My corporate identity erased in an instant. The office had always been a sterile place, but now it felt suffocating. The air was thick with whispers, stolen glances from coworkers pretending not to see me. The news spread quickly, a silent contagion infecting every corridor, every cubicle. I wasn't just losing my job, I was being erased. I stormed into my manager's office, heart pounding, hands clenched. Richard Carlyle, the man who held my fate in his manicured hands, was lounging behind his mahogany desk, sipping his overpriced espresso. His expression was one of mild amusement, as if I were a minor inconvenience, rather than a man whose life had just been upended. "Nothing personal, Alex," he said, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "Just business." I wanted to lunge across the desk, shake him, demand answers, but I knew it wouldn't change anything. I had seen others go through this before, good employees, hard-working people, discarded like scraps. I had pitied them. Now, it was my turn. I forced my voice to remain steady. "I gave 10 years to this company." Carlyle sighed as if bored by my outrage. "And you were compensated for it. Generously, I might add." I gritted my teeth. "Why?" A slow smirk curled his lips. "Restructuring." That single word carried the weight of a death sentence. "Now, I know this is difficult," he continued, feigning concern. "But let's not make a scene. HR has your exit paperwork. Security will escort you out." Security. Like I was some kind of threat. The final insult. As I packed my things, my colleagues avoided my gaze. No goodbyes, no comforting words, just the quiet hum of productivity resuming, as if I had never existed. By the time I reached the elevator, my hands were trembling. Not with sadness, not with fear, with rage. The days blurred together into a haze of rejection emails and sleepless nights. I woke up each morning hoping it had all been a nightmare, but reality hit me the moment I reached for my phone and saw the absence of messages, the silence where my old life used to be. I updated my resume, sent applications to every company, even remotely related to my field. At first, I was optimistic. My track record was impeccable. Someone would recognize my worth. But days turned into weeks, and the responses, when they came at all, were sterile rejections. "We regret to inform you, while your qualifications are impressive, unfortunately, we have chosen to proceed with other candidates." I could almost hear Carlyle's smug voice in each one. My savings dwindled faster than I expected. Rent, bills, insurance, relentless, unforgiving. I skipped meals, turned off the heat, ignored phone calls from unknown numbers, dreading they were from creditors. The world moved on, indifferent to my suffering. One night, I made the mistake of looking up Carlyle online. His LinkedIn profile boasted of his latest promotion, his smiling face exuding confidence and success. Social media was no better. Pictures of him at networking events, enjoying fine dining, basking in the praise of industry leaders, as if what he had done to me, to others, meant nothing. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred, something dark and consuming rising in my chest. It wasn't just bitterness. It wasn't just anger. It was something deeper, something dangerous. And for the first time, I didn't try to push it away. The revelation came slowly, creeping into my mind like a shadow at dusk. At first, it was just a thought, bitter, fleeting. Then it settled, grew roots, took shape. It happened in a moment of weakness, when I was nursing a cheap drink in a rundown bar, drowning in my own self-loathing. The place smelled of spilled beer and desperation, a perfect backdrop for my unraveling. That's when I overheard them. Two men in a corner booth speaking in hushed voices. The words caught my attention, Carlyle's name spoken like a curse. I leaned closer, feigning disinterest as I strained to listen. "Bastard buried the whole thing," one man muttered. "Company should have burned for it." "Yeah," the other scoffed. "But Carlyle, he always lands on his feet." Buried. The word lodged itself in my mind. A scandal, something covered up, something damning. I had spent weeks drowning in my own misery, convinced I was powerless. But now, for the first time since that cold, impersonal email, I felt something else. Hope. I left the bar that night with a singular purpose. I needed to know what they were talking about. I needed to find out what Carlyle had buried, and once I did, I would make him pay. I started small. Late nights in front of my laptop, digging through corporate filings, old articles, and anything that hinted at Carlyle's dirty secrets. I found whispers of lawsuits, settled before they ever saw a courtroom, NDAs signed by ex-employees, financial discrepancies that made no sense. I needed proof. I broke into my old office. The security system was laughably outdated, and I still remembered the backdoor codes. In the darkness, I sifted through files, copied hard drives, took pictures of incriminating documents. My heart pounded with every creak of the floor, every distant footstep. Then, I found it. The smoking gun. A file marked "Confidential" detailing embezzlement schemes, bribes, and insider trading, enough to bury Carlyle for good. This was just the beginning. I released the first wave anonymously, just enough to raise eyebrows. Reporters started asking questions. Carlyle looked nervous in interviews. I watched as cracks formed in his perfect image. Then I made contact. An anonymous email. "I know what you did, and this is just the start." I wanted him to sweat. Then the unexpected happened. Someone was watching me. My apartment was broken into, my laptop wiped clean. A warning. Carlyle knew I was coming, and he wasn't going down without a fight. The paranoia was suffocating. Every shadow felt like an intruder, every ringing phone a threat. I had underestimated Carlyle. He had ties, dangerous ones. But I wasn't backing down. With no allies left, I had to take matters into my own hands. My final move had to be public, undeniable. I compiled the evidence, the hidden bank accounts, the falsified records, the hush money payments. And then, I set the trap. A live broadcast, a press conference I engineered. Anonymous leaks to the right journalists, ones who couldn't be silenced. When Carlyle's face appeared on every major news outlet, his crimes laid bare for the world to see, I watched from a distance. The panic in his eyes was worth every sleepless night, every moment of fear. His empire crumbled in real time. And I smiled. The victory was hollow. I had won, but at what cost? Carlyle was ruined, but so was I. I had spent so long chasing revenge that I no longer knew who I was without it. As I walked away from the wreckage of his career, I realized something chilling. I wasn't the same man who had been fired all those months ago. I had become something else, something darker. And maybe, just maybe, I liked it.